Even this clip. Let me play this clip for you here. This thing that Jordan Peterson's saying. You really are
Oh, yeah.
embracing this this mentality right here. Let me play this here for you. Here we go. You're gonna love this. Might as well be you saying it, I think.
Men should be dangerous. By dangerous, that implies I should be ready to threaten someone, to hurt somebody.
No, you should be capable of it. But that doesn't mean you should use it. There's nothing to you otherwise. Like if you're not a formidable force, there's no morality in your self-control. If you're incapable of violence, not being violent isn't a virtue. People who teach martial arts know this full well, right? If you learn a martial art, you learn to be dangerous, but simultaneously you learn to control it. Both of those come together. And the combination of that capacity for danger and the capacity for control is what brings about the virtue. Otherwise you confuse weakness with moral virtue. I'm harmless, therefore I'm good. It's like, no, that isn't how it works. That isn't how it works at all. If you're harmless, you're just weak. And if you're weak, you're not going to be good. You can't be, because it takes strength to be good. It's very difficult to be good.
Saying men should be
You almost want to be, you're almost like making princes. Like you believe in that. Like you like the idea of a man, which says nothing about women. You women do what you want, play football, make money, stay at home, have kids. You're not saying anything about women, but you want to make men who can ride horses, wield a sword, bring home food, protect their kids, carry their wife out of the carriage if she falls asleep to her bed. Like that's what you're into that. If you fully embrace that now.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I want nothing more than, let's just say 10, 20 years from now, for someone to come up to me and be like, dude, your son, he's the most compassionate, loving individual I've ever met. And he also stood up for me when that bully came and talked to me, and he had the capability to do so. Like that would make me so proud, right? What would make me proud is having a vision of success where I don't think you could be both things. You could be loving, caring, compassionate, emotional, and you could also be a badass. And I think that's our job to train them. And I think you're doing the same thing, dude. Like you get your kids into jiu-jitsu and martial arts. Do you think those kids don't have better self-confidence, and with more self-confidence, they could carry themselves in a different way, and they could approach situations in the same way, different way, and they will never, I guarantee, I can't guarantee, but it's highly unlikely if someone does jiu-jitsu as a youth and for many, many years that I ever see them going to bully somebody else because they have the self-confidence. They don't need to go boaster. And I don't know, that's where I'm at, man. And I want the same thing, by the way. I want the same thing. I want my daughter to be independent. I want her to be confident. I want her to be aggressive when she needs to be. And those are important skill sets. This world is going to come at people hard. And if we just keep them in a bubble, I think we're doing them disservice.
What do you think about the notion of men and women competing? Has that come up with your daughter? Like, I don't mean in sports. I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about like the Leah Thomas thing. I'm just talking about like, just like, hey, you are a woman. You don't need to compete with the man. You can be you can just fully embrace what it means to be a good woman. I don't even want to say strong woman.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they're
right. As opposed to like, oh, I'm comparing myself to what men need to do out there.
Yeah, I think they're both completely different. Like women have characteristics and strengths that a man can never have. They could carry a child. They could birth. Like they could do things that we can't even fathom, and they're powerful and independent for that. Men have other characteristics that make them powerful and successful, and I think that's why it just works. And I think when you try and compare the two, it's difficult because they both bring different things to the table. And that's why it's wonderful. I mean, I've seen women do things that I've seen, Ashley, and I've seen other women do things that I don't think a man could ever do. Now, aside from birthing children, I'm talking about just in general, like being tough, being mentally resilient, being strong. And those are characteristics that I feel like, I'm inspired by. I also want that for young men as well. Right. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
yeah, it does.
I get inspiration from both. Like, I mean, dude, think about it this way, Sevan, like in the most difficult time of my life, it was Ashley that threw on the pants, right? And stepped up to the plate and said, hey man, like get your shit together, basically. Right. That wasn't me. That was her.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's interesting. There were some decisions early on, medical decisions that my wife, for our kids, the same, very different than yours, but not foist upon us like yours were. Yours were like fucking immediate and right then and there with the cancer thing. But there were some decisions that she took and ran with, and I thought, and she didn't have my support. I acquiesced, and now years later, I'm like, oh my God, thank fucking Lord.
Right?
Holy shit.
They just know, man. They just know.
Holy shit.
And you need that. Like if you want to be like if my job, if my role, and as I'm getting older, is to protect, provide for the family, to be a masculine energy that also is loving and caring, etc. You need the feminine, powerful, independent woman also. Like Ashley, just dude, she runs the shots. Like I don't know how it is in your house, but I might think, you might think you're the boss. You're not the boss, dude.
I'm the boss until I'm not. So
That's
like if I'm totally just running shit, and then she's like, no, that can't go there. I'm like, oh, okay, sorry.
Okay, sorry.
And then I just move it. I take it outside or whatever.
Hey, so tonight we're gonna go do this. No, actually we're doing this. Okay.
Yeah, totally. I'm running the schedule 364 days a year. I think I'm the shit. We're doing this. No, we're not doing that. Oh, yeah. Of course.
Yeah, of course. I'm sorry. Yeah. I didn't mean that.
I had this thing happen to me in the airport the other day. It's not a big deal.
Did you get recognized for being the CEO or what?
Yeah, that I did. I did. But I was in line to get on a flight, and a guy was in the wrong line, and he was with his two kids. He was in a line next to me. He was in pre-check, and I wasn't in pre-check. And he comes flying out of pre-check, and he's fucking pissed, and he has his two kids with him, and he's completely irate, and he's in confrontation with the TSA person saying like, hey, it's bullshit. I have pre-check, and you're saying I can't go through because my son is 13. And he's so fucking angry. Dude. So he gets in line behind me. Now he's in my line, and I can tell he's pissed, and he's calling people, and I see another TSA agent come up, and the guy's name was like Gama or something, a little Asian dude. And I go, Mr. Gama, and he looks at me, and I said, hey, dude, this guy right here, he's late for his flight. He's got two beautiful kids with him, and could you possibly get him through? He stood in the wrong line for 40 minutes, and he looks at him, and the guy looks at me, and he gets him, and he takes him. And for me, like, I don't do jujitsu. I'm not formidable. I saw him, and I'm like, wow, I could be that guy. I could be totally flustered and want to fight with people to get my way. Like, and for me, that was like one of the most manly. And he took him. He's like, of course. And he takes the guy, and the guy looks at me and says, thank you. And he takes him, and they go up to the front of the line, and he's gone. And for me, that was like one of the most manly things I'd ever done.
Yeah, because you stepped up and you supported, right?
Even though it wasn't shit, I felt like my balls drop a little bit.
Dude.
You know what I mean? It was crazy.
But now look at that lesson, though, for the kids, right?
Yeah,
so
my kids weren't there, unfortunately. I couldn't be like, dude, I was by myself.
But, last time we're having dinner with some friends, and my wife had been at like sushi earlier or whatever, and there was 4 people sitting at a table, and they basically ended up screaming and yelling at the waiter and just walked out, didn't pay their bill. And it's just one of those examples, like, when you have kids around, man, they're picking up on all these things. So if you're freaking out, if you're yelling at people, they're going to think that's okay. And that's not okay. Like, I don't care what is going on. It's not okay.
Being out of control is not okay.
Yeah. Or being rude or disrespectful for people because you think you're better than them. Like, dude, come on, get the fuck out of here. And I think that's something that the kids pick up on. I mean, I wish they had been there in your particular case. Like, I'm sure there's been many other situations where you've done things like that because you're a good dude. People
not like that. For me, that took some courage. And I feel like I learned that from my wife, actually. I feel like that's the role my wife normally plays. Like if I'm on the phone with someone fighting, she's like, give me that. And
she calms it down.
Yeah. And gets it done.
Dude, you know what the thing about it is, man? You get on a flight. I've been traveling a lot, and flight attendants are always at a level 10, man. They deal with so much bullshit. They deal with so many people that are so rude to them. But I get on the plane, I try and, be kind and generous. But sometimes these people, they're just not even interested in having it because they've just been dealing with just jerks all day long, and they're having long flights. But I'm glad you shared that, man. I mean, it's just one of those things where, as a guy, or, and I hate to even call it just like a guy or girl, whatever. It's just, dude, I'm in control of who I am. I'm a man, and I want to be able to be the best I possibly can be for my family. That's what I'm trying to do. And I want to lead the best example I can be.
My wife always tells me, she's like, don't yell. You don't not yell at your kids because yelling at them is mean and it sucks. You don't yell at your kids because it shows that you're out of control. And if you're out of control, people are never cool. The coolest people in the world. So do you want your kids to be fucking cool? I'm like, yeah. She's like, well, then stay in fucking control.
Dude, I was walking with my kids. This is like during COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
Super crazy times. And
in California?
Yeah, dude.
Triple crazy.
Dude, it's super crazy. So we're walking between my house and my in-laws' house. So it was like a, I don't know, mile and a half walk. And we get like halfway.
Is it still like that? You still live that close to him?
We're probably like 5 miles now, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so it's like a mile and a half in. And dude, I just hear this girl screaming, like just screaming at the top of her lungs. I mean, just screaming, let go of me, blah, 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 just screaming. I'm just like, oh shit. And so we're walking down the street. And at that moment, I just hear it down like an alleyway. Just, I mean, like this is like level 10 screaming, not like level 2, 5. And so I'm with the kids and I just like made this instant decision. I'm like, I'm going to go help this girl out. Like there was no other option, man. Like you would do it too. Like it was so blatantly like this woman needs help. Like, so anyways, I walk down the alley. It's like pitch black. I'm like, hey kids, Ashley, just stay over here. And I get
nighttime.
Oh yeah. It's pitch black.
Oh shit.
And I get to the end of this alley and I see a van. I'm like, oh shit.
Holy crap.
And so I'm walking down this alley. There's a house, right? So it's a house and it's one of those like long driveways to the house. And in the back, there's a van. So I'm walking down. I keep hearing it. Let go of me. You're hurting me, blah, blah. I'm like, oh my gosh. So the family's over here. And so I probably walk for maybe 100 yards and I maybe 50 yards, whatever. And I get down and I see this guy throwing a girl in a van. And I'm like, oh man. I was like, shit. So I walk up to this guy. I'm like maybe 20 feet from him. I was like, hey man. I was like, what are you doing? Like, and he just looks at me and I'm like, oh boy, one of two things are about to go down.
Right.
And he goes, this is my daughter. She just took 20 pills. She's gonna overdose. I'm taking her to the hospital right now. You can call the police, you can do whatever you want, but I'm just letting you know I'm taking her right now to the hospital to get her stomach pumped. And I was reading the situation because here's this girl who doesn't want to be in this van. It's exactly what you would think it would be, but it's because
he's a white guy and she's a black girl, and you're like, wait a second, you can't do that.
It was whatever. And then you see the mom trying to get out of the house. But anyways, long story short, right? It was what it was. It was exactly what it was. This guy is just trying to get his daughter to the hospital. But it was I walked back to the family and I'm all kind of like, fired up or whatever. And it was just a cool moment where, I had a choice just like you did at that moment. Like I had a choice, like either have walked down the alleyway or I could have not. And I'm glad I did because I would have always I would have always wondered what if, and then also having my children see me do that was cool because it just showed like, that's the type of people we need to be. Like you want to be able to help others.
Yeah, that's a crazy story. Was your wife at any point like, Jason, do not go down there? Like this family needs you. Don't get fucking killed. No,
I think at that point too, man, it was just so aggressive.
She was angry at you. She wanted you to get taken away.
Yeah. No, I just think the screaming was so aggressive that there wasn't really another option. You know what I mean? Like It was just like, I don't know, like sharing the story now, it's like, it'd be like, why would you ever do that? But when you heard it, just like, it's like your baby crying. You're like, dude, I want to go soothe it. It's the same thing as like hearing this girl like literally just like dying and you want to go help. Same idea. Different, but you know what I mean?
Oh, I hear you. Jeremy E. World, Jason, Wes, Pyatt and I run a very similar men's dads group. Let's talk.
Okay.
Do you know who that is, Jeremy?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Oh, okay. You know who everyone is.
Oh, well, I know Jeremy and I know Wes. Yeah. Let's talk. It'd be good.
Is that the first you're hearing of it?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that, like I said, yesterday I was at a men's club, like kind of like a little